The message. Director Elena Santos stared at the holographic display floating above her desk at the United Earth Defense Council headquarters, her coffee growing cold beside stacks of data tablets. The message that triggered every early warning system Earth possessed wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't even directed at Earth, but its implications made her hands tremble as she read it for the 20th time. Priority, ALERT. Restricted transmission. Hegemony vessels, only. Route adjustment required for Fleet Group 7. Confirm human presence detected in the Arcturus sector. Implement Protocol Omega-17. Repeat. Human presence detected. All vessels divert minimum 3 parsecs from projected contact zone. The message had been intercepted 12 hours ago by the Deep Space Monitoring Array. Since then, Elena's team had detected 17 similar transmissions from different alien civilizations, all with the same core message: avoid humans at all costs. Director Santos. Her eye assistant's voice filled the room. The council is assembled and waiting. Elena gathered her tablets and straightened her uniform. Thank you, Araya. Let's not keep them waiting. The council chamber was a testament to how far humanity had come in the past 50 years. Representatives from every major nation sat around a circular table that could have easily seated 30, but today only 7 chairs were occupied. The empty seats served as a reminder of how small humanity's presence was in the grand scheme of things. Directors, admirals, Elena began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. What I'm about to share will fundamentally change our understanding of Earth's position in the galaxy. She gestured, and the intercepted messages appeared above the table's center. Admiral Chen leaned forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the data. These are authentic. Triple verified. Elena confirmed. We're detecting similar transmissions across 12 different advanced civilizations. They're actively avoiding us, and not just with routine caution. They're treating Earth's sphere of influence like a quarantine zone. Director Patel, head of Xenological Studies, cleared his throat. But we've barely established colonies beyond Mars. Our sphere of influence is practically microscopic by galactic standards. That's what makes this fascinating. Elena replied. She brought up another hologram, this one showing a map of known alien trade routes. Look at the pattern. They're not just avoiding Earth. They're avoiding any sector where we might expand in the next century. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, barely able to reach its own solar system's edge, had somehow terrified species capable of crossing galaxies. There's more, Elena continued. Araya managed to decrypt part of a classified database from one of these transmissions. It's, well, see for yourself. A new hologram appeared, showing an alien threat assessment index. At the top of the list, above Class X civilization destroyers and reality-warping entities, sat a simple entry. Humanity, Omega-level threat. Approach with extreme caution. Direct confrontation guaranteed to result in unprecedented consequences. Note, they appear unaware of their status. Do note info arm. Admiral Chen's laugh broke the tension. We're their boogeymen, and we didn't even know it. But why? Director Patil asked. We've had minimal contact with alien species. The Proxima incident was peaceful, the Mars conference was productive, and the Jupiter Gateway project has been running smoothly with alien contractors. Elena brought up one final document. That's the most interesting part. I had ARIA analyze every recorded interaction between humanity and alien species. The pattern is unusual. The data showed a clear trend. After each peaceful contact with humans, alien civilizations became progressively more cautious, more deferential, and ultimately more terrified. They're not afraid of our weapons, Elena explained. They're afraid of how we think. Every time we've solved a problem or faced a challenge, we've done it in ways that seem to fundamentally unnerve them. Example, Admiral Chen prompted. The Proxima incident. Remember when their ship had that cascade failure in orbit? Our solution was to have university students repurpose mining drones for emergency repairs. To us, it was clever improvisation. To them. Elena paused, reading from her notes. It was, quote, evidence of unprecedented technological integration capabilities and militant resourcefulness. Director Patel chuckled. We impressed them with duct tape and zip ties. Essentially, Elena nodded. But it goes deeper. The Mars Conference. Our delegation brought homemade cookies as a gesture of goodwill. The aliens interpreted it as a power move, demonstrating our ability to transmute raw materials into complex organic compounds through poorly understood thermal processes. The room erupted in laughter, but Elena raised her hand. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this perception of humanity has spread across multiple civilizations. We're seen as unpredictable, impossibly adaptable, and capable of turning anything into a tool or weapon. They're not wrong. They're just missing the context that this is how all humans think. Admiral Chen's cybernetic eye narrowed. So what do we do with this information? Knowing we're feared by species centuries ahead of us technologically. That's what we need to decide, Elena said. But first, there's one more thing you need to see. She brought up a final transmission, this one heavily encrypted. This was sent from what appears to be their equivalent of a high council. It's about Earth's recent request to join the Galactic Trade Federation. The message was brief but clear. Petition for human integration to be approved immediately. Denial risks unknown response scenarios. Note: all civilizations dealing with humans must maintain appearance of equal standing. Current hypothesis suggests they do not realize their unique status. Security of galaxy depends on maintaining this ignorance. Elena let the words hang in the air before continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. We've become a superpower without firing a shot, winning the war without even knowing we were fighting one. The question now is, what do we do with this silent victory? The council chamber fell quiet again, but this time it was a thoughtful silence. Humanity stood at a crossroads, accidentally having become the species that other civilizations told scary stories about. And they had achieved it not through force or conquest, but simply by being human. Schedule an emergency session, Admiral Chen finally said. We need to figure out how to be the boogeymen the galaxy fears while ensuring we never become the monster they think we are. Elena nodded, already making notes. Outside her window, the sun was rising over Earth's horizon. Somewhere out there, advanced civilizations were altering their courses to avoid humanity's path. And humanity, in its wonderfully human way, would probably invite them over for coffee once they figured out what was going on. She couldn't help but smile. The galaxy's most feared species had achieved that status through kindness, creativity, and homemade cookies. It was perhaps the most human victory imaginable. The diplomat's game. Ambassador Sarah Chen adjusted her simple Navy suit as the quantum elevator carried her to the upper levels of the Galactic Council's headquarters on Europa Station. The massive structure, a joint project between 17 alien species and humanity, floated in perfect geosynchronous orbit above Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Her companion, First Speaker Kitz of the Arcturian Diplomatic Corps, twisted his crystalline appendages in what she had learned was a gesture of nervous respect. Ambassador Chen, perhaps we should review protocol one final time. Sarah smiled, noting how Kitz's crystalline structure flickered with anxiety at her expression. The Council has already approved Earth's membership. First Speaker, this is just a formality. Yes, of course. Kitz's voice chimed like wind through glass. But please remember, no sudden movements, no human idioms, and absolutely no mentions of your species. Creative problem-solving approaches. The elevator doors opened to reveal the council chamber, a vast hemisphere designed to accommodate beings of all sizes and environmental needs. Sarah noted with interest how the other representatives subtly shifted away as she entered, their environmental suits and protective fields humming with barely contained energy. Supreme Counselor Vixterra, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, addressed the chamber. We welcome Earth's first official representative to the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chen, please approach the speaking dais. As Sarah walked forward, she couldn't help but notice the readings on her subtle wrist scanner. Every defensive system in the room had activated at her approach, yet their operators were trying desperately to hide this fact. The game was on. Honorable Council, Sarah began, her voice clear and measured. Earth is humbled by your acceptance of our membership petition. We look forward to contributing to the galaxy's peaceful development and scientific advancement. A ripple of what might have been relief passed through the chamber. Sarah suppressed a smile, remembering Director Santos' briefing. Let them think we don't know. Let them believe we're just innocent newcomers to the galactic stage. Supreme Counselor Vixterra's energy form pulsed in what passed for approval. The Council recognizes Earth's unique potential. We have assigned you a Level 1 diplomatic status, matching our most advanced members. Sarah allowed herself to look pleasantly surprised, though she knew the real reason. The classified files had been clear. Giving humanity anything less than equal status might prompt an unpredictable response. That's most generous, she replied. Though I admit some confusion. Earth's technological development is centuries behind many member species. Surely a more graduated approach. No. Several council members spoke at once. Their translation device is creating a cacophony of alarmed denial. Supreme Counselor Vixterra's shell actually vibrated. What we mean, the counselor recovered smoothly, is that Earth's particular capabilities warrant full status. Sarah nodded thoughtfully, playing her role. I see. Then perhaps you can explain something that's puzzled our analysts. We've noticed significant rerouting of trade vessels around Earth-controlled space. If we're equals, surely such expensive detours are unnecessary. The chamber temperature dropped several degrees as cooling systems struggled to handle the collective anxiety of its occupants. First speaker kits chimed in distress. A mere traffic optimization protocol, Vixterra offered quickly. Nothing more. Though speaking of Earth-controlled space, we would be interested in formally recognizing your current borders. Oh, we're quite flexible about borders, Sarah said casually, watching as multiple environment suits registered spike in their occupants' vital signs. Humanity believes in natural expansion through peaceful exploration and settlement. How? How far do you intend to expand? Asked a representative of the Silicon Consciousness, their crystalline matrix flickering with concern. Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile. Where our curiosity takes us, I suppose. Humanity has always been driven to explore, to solve new problems, to improvise. The word improvise triggered another wave of nervous energy readings on her scanner. The classified files had mentioned that word appeared in multiple alien threat assessments of humanity. Perhaps, Vixterra suggested carefully, the Council could assist in directing Earth's natural expansion. We could offer premium trading routes, prime colonization worlds. That's very kind, Sarah replied. Though Earth scientists are particularly interested in the Carina Nebula region, such fascinating gravitational anomalies there. The chamber erupted in subtle chaos as representatives rushed to offer alternatives. The Carina Nebula, Sarah knew, contained several species' most classified research installations. Installations that would now be relocated at enormous expense. The Horsehead Nebula is much more suitable, offered the Silicon Consciousness desperately. We would gladly assist in establishing human presence there. Sarah pretended to consider this. That's an interesting proposal. I'll need to consult with Earth's scientific community. They can be quite creative in their approach to new opportunities. More vital sign spikes. The word creative was apparently another trigger. Of course, Vixterra soothed. Take all the time you need. The Council fully supports Earth's decision-making process, whatever it may be. The rest of the session passed in a dance of careful words and hidden meanings. Sarah maintained her role as the earnest, slightly naive representative of a young species, while the Council tried desperately to guide humanity toward actions that wouldn't accidentally reshape the galactic order. Hours later, as she prepared to leave, Supreme Counselor Vixterra approached her privately. "Ambassador Chen, a personal question, if I may." "Of course, Counselor." "The device you've been wearing, the one monitoring our defensive systems and vital signs, was it really necessary to let us know you were aware of our precautions?" Sarah's smile widened slightly. "Counselor, if we wanted to hide our monitoring capabilities, don't you think we could have?" She left Vixterra's energy form, pulsing in what her sensors registered as a mixture of terror and admiration. In her ear, Director Santos's voice came through her quantum comm. "Well played, Ambassador. The galaxy's most feared species continues to terrify through radical honesty and polite diplomacy." "It's almost unfair," Sarah murmured as she entered her shuttle. "They're so afraid of what we might do. They'd never stop to ask what we want to do." "And what do we want to do?" Sarah watched Jupiter's swirling storms through her viewport. "The same thing humanity has always done. Learn, grow, explore, and hopefully make some friends along the way. Even if those friends are currently hiding behind level 10 defense screens." Behind her, First Speaker Katz's crystalline form harmonized with what might have been laughter. The galaxy's deadliest species had just conquered the council chamber armed with nothing but a smile and the terrifying human qualities of honesty and directness. It was, perhaps, the most elegant invasion in galactic history. And not a single shot had been fired. The misunderstanding. Historical archive access. Classified level Omega. File. First contact incident report. The Brisbane event. Date. 15 years prior to current narrative. Authority. Combined Galactic Intelligence Assessment. Fleet Commander Zixtal of the Arxid Dominion still remembers the day everything changed. His massive survey vessel hung in high orbit above the blue-green world designated Sol 3, cloaking systems engage, while he reviewed the preliminary assessment of the primitive species below. "Remarkably inefficient beings," his science officer reported, gesturing at the data streams with multiple appendages. "They spend approximately 1/3 of their life cycle in a dormant state they call sleep. Their primary population centers are poorly organized. Their global communication network is chaotic and filled with pictures of small animals, and they appear to deliberately consume psychoactive substances that impair their cognitive functions." "Threat assessment?" Zixtal asked, his chromatic scales shifting to analysis purple. "Minimal. While they've achieved crude spaceflight and atomic energy manipulation, their technology is centuries behind Dominion standards. They don't even have unified planetary defense systems. That should have been the end of it. Another primitive world to be noted, categorized, and largely ignored by the greater galactic community. But Zixtal had built his career on thoroughness. Launch deep scan probes. Standard grid pattern. The order that would change galactic history forever. The first probe transmitted normally as it entered Earth's atmosphere, heading for a population center on the continent designated Australia. The second probe went silent almost immediately. So did the third, and the fourth. "Status report," Zixtal demanded, his scales flickering to alarm red. "Unknown defense system activated," his tactical officer reported. "Probes are being intercepted with precision we've never encountered. Energy signatures are impossible." On the main viewing screen, a human communication channel activated unexpectedly. A young female voice filled the bridge. "G'day. If you're looking for your fancy space probes, they're down here at Brisbane Secondary School. Our science fair is on Tuesday if you'd like to see what we've done with them." The bridge crew stared in horror at the video feed. A group of juvenile humans, none more than 14 standard solar cycles old, had not only detected their supposedly undetectable probes, but had apparently dismantled them, and were using the components for what appeared to be educational projects. One child had converted a quantum scanning array into something called a potato clock. Another had repurposed a molecular analyzer to create what they termed fizzy drinks. The coup de grace was a student who had somehow transformed a zero-point energy collector into a device that projected moving images of felines onto classroom walls. "Sir," the science officer's voice trembled, "these are children. Their educational facility has neutralized our most advanced surveillance technology and converted it into entertainment." Zixtal's scales shifted through colors previously unknown to his species. If their children can do this, what are their adults capable of? The answer came moments later when an adult human appeared on screen. This is Dr. Sarah Martinez, Brisbane Secondary School's head of science. "Thanks for the amazing teaching materials. The kids are really excited about space now. Would you like to join us for the science fair? We're having a sausage sizzle." The tactical officer's appendages wrapped protectively around himself. "Sir, they're inviting us to witness what they've done to our technology, while offering to provide us with processed organic matter. Should we interpret this as a threat?" "New contact," the sensor operator announced. Small vessel approaching from the surface. On the screen, a tiny craft that looked cobbled together from primitive materials rose through the atmosphere. Its hull was painted in bright colors, and a banner hung from one side reading, "Welcome to Science Fair 2309. They've achieved space flight using." "Are those recycled beverage containers?" The science officer's professional detachment cracked. "The fuel mixture appears to be." "Sir, they're powering an orbital vehicle with something called cordial and modified cleaning products." Zixtal made the decision that would define galactic policy toward humanity for decades to come. Emergency temporal shift. Get us out of here. As the massive survey vessel engaged its fastest escape protocol, Dr. Martinez's voice came through one final time. "No worries if you can't make it. The kids have already figured out how your engines work. They're doing a presentation on interdimensional physics right after lunch." The Orcs Dominion vessel broke at least 12 laws of physics fleeing Earth's solar system. Their subsequent report to the Galactic Council painted a picture that would become the foundation of humanity's fearsome reputation. Species demonstrates unprecedented ability to comprehend and repurpose advanced technology. Their young are encouraged to dismantle and modify complex systems with no regard for traditional scientific principles. Most terrifying of all, they appear to view potentially civilization-ending discoveries as opportunities for recreation and social gathering. Warning: species shows no sign of recognizing their own terrifying capabilities. They invited us to observe their achievements while offering to share food, suggesting either supreme confidence or complete obliviousness to their actions' implications. ORECOMENDATION. Classify Sol system as Omega-level restricted zone. Under no circumstances should humanity be made aware of their status in galactic society. Current hypothesis suggests they operate on thought patterns beyond our comprehension. Ad endum. Several probe components remain in human possession. Attempted recovery deemed suicide mission. The children have named their quantum-powered feline projection device Mr. Whiskers and appear emotionally attached to it. Years later, that science fair would be remembered as the moment humanity accidentally terrified the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, not through military might or technological superiority, but through the simple act of letting their children play with alien technology while offering to share snacks. The Brisbane Secondary School Science Fair of 2309 now sits in classified alien archives as the event that must not be named. While on Earth, it's remembered mainly for winning the State Innovation Prize and having particularly good sausages at the fundraiser barbecue. And somewhere in Brisbane, Mr. Whiskers still projects quantum cats onto classroom walls, powered by technology that makes advanced alien scientists wake up screaming. The reputation: Galactic Intelligence Report, Human Activities Analysis, Priority, Maximum, Classification, OMEGACLERANC required. Subject: ongoing assessment of human behavioral patterns. Senior Analyst X Vix of the Galactic Intelligence Division pressed his sensory nodes against the cooling plate as he reviewed the latest reports from Earth observation posts. After 15 years of studying humans, he was still discovering new reasons to be terrified. "Director," he transmitted to his superior, "you need to see this immediately." The director's consciousness manifested in the briefing chamber, her energy form crackling with concern. Another incident. Worse, we've identified their training protocols. X Vix brought up a series of recordings. They call them hobbies. The first recording showed a human scaling a vertical rock face with minimal equipment. This one regularly climbs surfaces designed by nature to be unclimbable. For recreation. They call it free soloing. The director's energy field pulsed with distress. Survival training. No, they do it for fun. X Vix pulled up another recording. This group of humans regularly jumps out of perfectly functional atmospheric vehicles. They call it skydiving, perhaps testing emergency protocols. Again, purely recreational. But it gets worse. He displayed footage from something called a cooking competition. They've turned the manipulation of organic matter through applied heat into a sport. Watch as they deliberately impose time constraints on themselves while creating complex chemical compounds, which they then consume. The director's form flickered in horror. They're testing their resistance to biological agents. They call it MasterChef. It's broadcast for entertainment. X Vix's voice trembled. "Director, every time we think we understand their capabilities, they reveal new layers of madness." The director suggested. "Humanity," X Vix corrected. "Our latest psychological analysis suggests they don't even recognize these activities as remarkable. Yesterday, I observed a human child learning to manipulate gravity on 2 rotating wheels. They call it riding a bicycle." The parent just watched proudly. The director absorbed this information. "What about their military training?" "That's the problem, Director. We can't distinguish their military activities from their recreational ones. Observe." He displayed multiple recordings simultaneously. This is a human military drill involving underwater infiltration. And this is something called scuba diving that they do on vacation. The patterns are identical. Exactly. They've somehow integrated combat training into their leisure activities. Or perhaps they've turned combat training into entertainment. We're no longer sure which. The director moved closer to the displays. "What about their scientific research?" X Vix's professional demeanor cracked slightly. "Director, 3 days ago, a human garage inventor accidentally created a rudimentary quantum field while trying to build something called a better toaster. He was apparently frustrated that his bread wasn't evenly heated. Containment protocols. He posted the designs online under something called open source. Their global information network is filled with potentially civilization-ending discoveries, shared freely because humans think they're neat." The director's energy form condensed with concentration. "What are their children learning?" That's perhaps the most disturbing part. X Vix displayed footage from something called a kindergarten. They teach their young to manipulate matter into new forms using substances called Play-Doh and finger paint. It appears to be early training in molecular restructuring, disguised as play. "By the ancient void," the director whispered. "They're conditioning their species from the beginning." "It gets worse," X Vix continued. "They have these gathering places called maker spaces, where humans of all ages are encouraged to take things apart and rebuild them into new things, for no reason other than curiosity. Last week, a group of teenagers converted a cleaning robot into something they call a DJ booth. It now manipulates sound waves for communal rhythmic movement activities." "Dancing," the director supplied. "Yes, we've noted their bizarre practice of synchronized movement to audio patterns. Possible combat training. Unknown, but they seem to derive pleasure from it." X Vix brought up one final display. "And then there's this. We've detected irregular energy patterns from multiple human population centers. Investigation revealed thousands of humans gathering to watch others engage in something called karaoke. Threat assessment. Impossible to determine. They deliberately impair their vocal coordination while simultaneously strengthening group bonds through shared embarrassment. It defies all known psychological warfare protocols. The director was quiet for a long moment. Recommendations. Continue current policy of non-intervention and maximum appeasement. The humans appear content with their current activities. Any attempt to understand or restrict them may trigger escalation. Escalation. They might invite us to participate, Director. Vix shuddered. Last week, a human child offered to teach one of our covered observers something called jump rope. The agent requested immediate extraction and psychological counseling. The director's energy form rippled with decision. Update all civilizations. Maintain current protocols. Under no circumstances are we to interfere with human hobbies. The galaxy may depend on them remaining happily occupied with their endless self-imposed challenges. As the director departed, Vix turned back to his monitors. On one screen, a human was attempting to set a record for surviving in something called a hot dog eating contest. On another, someone was learning to manipulate fire and sharp objects in a practice called juggling. He added another note to his report. Humanity continues to demonstrate unprecedented capabilities for turning any activity, no matter how dangerous or impractical, into entertainment. Most concerning of all, they appear to be enjoying themselves. Then he activated his personal cooling unit and prepared to document more human hobbies. The galaxy's most terrifying species was out there right now, probably inventing new ways to have fun that would give advanced civilizations nightmares. And they were almost certainly going to post tutorials about it online. The Understanding. Emergency Session. Galactic Council. Subject. The Outsider Threat. Status. Maximum Priority. Supreme Counselor Vixterra's energy form pulsed with unprecedented urgency as the emergency session convened. The council chamber, usually a model of order and protocol, crackled with nervous energy as representatives from every major civilization gathered to face what many believed to be their final hours. The outsiders have breached the outer defense grid, Vixterra announced. Their biomechanical swarm has already consumed 3 solar systems. Our combined fleets have proven ineffective. They adapt to every weapon, every strategy. They are, the Supreme Counselor's voice faltered. They are perfect. First speaker Kitz's crystalline form dimmed with despair. Perfect predators. They consume all technology, all energy, all life, adding our characteristics to their own, growing stronger with each defeat. Perhaps, a quiet voice suggested from the back of the chamber, you need something imperfect. All attention turned to Ambassador Sarah Chen, who sat calmly drinking from an earth beverage called coffee. The guard's energy readings spiked as she stood, but for once, their fear wasn't directed at her. What do you mean, Ambassador? Vixterra asked. The outsiders adapt to perfection, yes. They analyze patterns, predict responses, incorporate sophisticated technologies. Sarah smiled. But how do they handle chaos, improvisation, things that make no logical sense? The chamber fell silent as understanding dawned. You mean? Kitz chimed nervously. Humanity volunteers to take point on this one, Sarah said, activating her communicator. Director Santos, it's time for protocol. Hold my beer. Within hours, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. The human response to an unstoppable, perfect enemy was to be as imperfect as possible. The first human counterattack began with a fleet of ships that deliberately violated 47 laws of physics. Each vessel was piloted by what humans called speedrunners, individuals who specialized in finding unintended ways to break complex systems. They're exploiting glitches in reality itself, one alien observer noted with horror. They're treating the universe like one of their video games. The outsiders, confronted with ships performing physically impossible maneuvers, suffered their first moments of confusion. Their perfect adaptation protocols attempted to analyze human tactics, only to encounter what appeared to be complete nonsense. Then came the second wave. Humanity deployed what they called their tech support specialists, individuals trained in making broken things work through methods that defied explanation. They began reprogramming outsider units using techniques that even humans didn't understand. "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" became an unexpectedly devastating weapon against hyper-evolved artificial intelligence. But the true turning point came when humanity unleashed their secret weapon. The Brisbane Secondary School Science Club, now teenagers, armed with 15 years of experience in taking apart advanced technology and making it do things it was never meant to do. The outsiders are attempting to consume and adapt to human technology, Kitts reported, watching the battles unfold. But they can't. The humans keep changing how their devices work mid-battle. They're modifying their equipment with, is that adhesive tape? Duct tape, Sarah corrected. Humanity's first and last line of defense. The outsiders, designed to adapt to logical progression and perfect systems, found themselves unable to cope with human unpredictability. Their swarm encountered vessels held together by optimism and cable ties, weapons that worked because nobody told them they shouldn't, and tactics that seemed to be invented on the spot through what humans called winging it. The final battle took place above Earth itself, where humanity deployed what they termed their last resort. They invited the outsiders to participate in a global multiplayer gaming session. The swarm is attempting to process the concept of speedrunning strats, a tactical officer reported. They're crashing. Their perfect adaptation protocols can't handle the idea of deliberately exploiting errors for fun. Within days, the unstoppable threat that had terrified the galaxy's most advanced civilizations was reduced to scattered fragments, thoroughly confused by humanity's refusal to follow any sort of logical pattern. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council gathered once again. This time, the fear in the chamber was tempered with something new: understanding. "We've been looking at humanity all wrong," Vixterra admitted. "We saw their unpredictability as a threat, their creativity as a weapon, their adaptability as something to fear. But today, those very qualities saved us all." Sarah Chen stood before the council, still holding her coffee. "Humanity doesn't want to be the galaxy's boogeyman," she said simply. "We just want to explore, create, learn, and maybe make some friends along the way. Yes, we do things differently. Yes, we turn serious things into games and simple things into challenges. But that's not because we're trying to be threatening. It's because we believe life should be interesting." The council chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Kitts spoke up. "Ambassador Chen, my offspring has expressed interest in this human concept of skateboarding. Would it be possible?" "We're planning to open an intergalactic skate park next month," Sarah grinned. "All species welcome, helmets required. And yes, there will be a snack bar." And so, the galaxy's most feared species finally found its true role, teaching the advanced civilizations how to be a little less perfect, a little more creative, and a lot more fun. The Galactic Council still maintains the Omega threat classification for humanity. But these days, it's followed by a new note: approach with wonder rather than fear. But maybe don't let them near your technology unless you're prepared for it to start playing cat videos. In Brisbane, Mr. Whiskers continues projecting quantum cats onto classroom walls, now joined by a gallery of alien art created by students from across the galaxy. And every now and then, a terrifying human hobby becomes a beloved interstellar pastime. After all, that's what humanity does best: turning fear into friendship, one improbable solution at a time.